It's the 22nd of January, which means it's day 22 of exclusively grapes. As I said in my previous videos, there were quite a few tomatoes incorporated in that as well, but they've seemed to have dropped off the last week or so. If I can flip this around, I'll show you. Probably not, so I'm just gonna have to turn the phone around. The setup has changed since I showed it last, which was quite a while ago, but last weekend got stuck in. Made these vertical cylindrical trellises, shade cloth draped over temporarily as the weather's been quite hot the last few weeks. There's one that's kind of ready down there, you can see it. My setup is stopping me from showing you. There you go. A couple of heirlooms growing there. Another decent one there. So there was 6 plants in this bed originally. They're all still going. Some better than others, but there's 4 in the cylinders there. And the other 2 that I would say were going the most crazy are in this little pen here, because they were just too crazy to try and fold up and put a trellis over, so we just kind of left them. There's not much going on at the moment. There's a couple starting to show some color. There's some good sized ones that are still green down there, if you can see. There's another one on this side that's getting pretty close. But I think that's enough of that. We got one on the bell peppers as well. Starting to show some color. And there'll be multiple colors from green to orange, yellow, red. They won't get as big as a capsicum, so they'll just keep changing color and I guess fall off when they're ready. So, update on the grapes. Still feeling good. Energy ebbs and flows like everyone's. Some things I've noticed when I was lying in bed the other night, actually, I became aware that this wrist pain that I've had for I don't even know how long isn't there anymore. When I would lift something with my palm up and my wrist would want to internally rotate like this, there'll be a sharp pain kind of running up the inside of my wrist. That seems to have dissipated. So I can't pinpoint exactly when that happened, but I just noticed it the other night, laying in bed. So that's pretty cool. Some other things I've forgot to mention in my last video was that my nose has definitely cleared up. My sinuses are more freely flowing, even coming from a high raw diet before that. I already said my back pain, my mid to upper back was gone. It rears its head every now and then, but it's definitely not an everyday occurrence, this constant nagging feeling of tightness and pain. I feel it in certain stretching positions or if I'm doing a certain exercise, but can't really avoid that. What else? That's pretty much all I wanted to touch on body-wise, I guess from an emotional standpoint, yesterday I was pretty close to calling it quits. It took a fair amount of my energy not to go and buy something to make for a salad. I think if our tomatoes were still going strong, I would have caved, but that hasn't been enough to justify me having the extras. So it has pretty much just been grapes the last couple of days at least. So about this time yesterday, I was pretty dead set that this time now, today, I was gonna break it with something, go back to a salad for dinner, which I love more than anything. But I think I'm in a better headspace today. I've started breaking up the meals into smaller amounts more often. Historically, I don't like to eat before midday, give or take an hour or two. But this morning I had my first meal just before 8 o'clock and kept it to about half of what I would normally have, and just doing that whenever I can. And that's boding well. Energy's more consistent, don't get weighed down. Even though the digestive burden is minimal, eating this way, it still has a noticeable impact. There's a marked difference there. So I think it's about 600 grams, about 5 of those a day. The lunch was 2 of those in one. So 1.2 kilos is probably the most I can eat before I start to feel it. So that's always a good place to call it. I'm trying to eat with more intention, eating one grape at a time, chewing it to completion, swallowing, and then eating the next one. So that's probably another thing I've been more conscious of, not so much an injury or an elimination, manifestation, whatever you want to call it. It's more being present. I find myself becoming unconscious, or if I'm listening or watching to something while I'm eating, then I'll catch myself shoveling multiple in at a time. Especially so when I'm doing the larger meals at lunch at work and only have a certain amount of time to eat. So I find myself shoveling the food in to get it all in time, which is not the way to eat, in my opinion. I'm sure most of you would agree. Slowing down, I find myself enjoying everything that much more anyway, so I think that's the new strategy. Gonna go for another week, see how I feel. I think a month is probably a good length to call it. The places I've been going to get the grapes are starting to wind down anyway, so I might not have a choice. But it's been good. Just been all white grapes this week, so a bit of variety. I was probably a bit overzealous with the picking. Not so much in the quantity, but with the quality. They're not all ready, I would say. You can definitely tell the difference between a nice ripe sweet one that have a more yellowy color to the skin, and most of the time they're actually smaller. And the unripe ones more have this neutral taste, kind of a bit sour, a little bit sweet, but they're not quite much of either. So I find that quite interesting, but I haven't picked a massive quantity of white grapes before, so I guess I'll know for next time. The place I was going last weekend turned out to be their last weekend, so that's a bit disappointing. I was looking forward to getting some of their black grapes, because I've been trying them the last couple of weeks and they haven't been quite ready. and their white grapes were supposed to be coming in as well, but they've just been getting hammered. It's been super busy out there. Compared to the first couple of weeks, there was pretty much no one out there while we were out there, and then you turn the corner and the whole street is just a car park basically. So it's pretty cool to see, but not so good if you want an extended season. So just gonna play it by ear basically, see who's open. That's gonna dictate what I can get. So a little bit out of my hands. I'm not gonna go to a supermarket, that's for sure. That's pretty much all I got for now. If I think of anything else, I'll be sure to update you. I was just gonna wait another week and do a full wrap-up video, which I will do anyway, but thought I'd keep this one a bit shorter. Just bring things up as I become aware of them. So I'll leave it there. Still going. I was gonna quit, but I'm gonna push through for the 4 weeks. See you soon.